Today is a really special day. Today is the first time we get to sample Ducati's flagship new superbike, the Panigale V4, at a MotoGP circuit in Spain. It doesn't get more exciting than this. The pulse starts to raise the moment you walk up close to the new Panigale and soak in all those glorious details. From a distance, the resemblance to the previous Panigale is unmistakable, but as you draw closer, you'll notice that quite a lot has changed within the silhouette. The LED lamps are all new, and the rear section is now even more striking to behold. A single-sided swing arm continues as before, with the S model pictured here getting forged aluminium wheels, in addition to electronic semi-active suspension by Öhlins and a lightweight lithium-ion battery. Despite the packaging challenges presented by Euro 4 regulations, Ducati has managed to neatly install the exhaust system below the bike, resulting in a clean and uncluttered look. And finally, the Panigale gains a beautiful high-resolution instrument cluster that's easily controlled via buttons on the left clip-on. Quality levels are top-notch all around, and there's no doubt that you're in presence of the most special production machine to emerge from the Ducati factory. This is a simply spectacular motorcycle, but it has taken a slightly meaner, tighter and more muscular look compared to the classic old Ducati lines. But simply put, this is still the most stunning motorcycle on sale today to my eyes. The Panigale's design may have made a gentle, evolutionary upgrade, but the engine, well, that's seen a completely revolutionary change. V-twin engines are the essence of a Ducati sports bike, so switching to a V4 was clearly a big call. Ducati has stroked out the motor to displace 1100cc, primarily for the purpose of offering a strong swell of torque that would be highly appreciated on a road bike. A high compression ratio of 14:1 means that this bike will have a thirst for high-octane petrol. The engine also uses a clever variable intake system that varies the intake track length based on the performance requirement. Another lesson taken from MotoGP comes in the counter-rotating crankshaft, which spins in the opposite direction to the direction of the rear wheel. Both the Panigale V4 and V4 S share identical engine specs, with 214 horsepower and 124 Nm of torque. If that's not massive enough, an optional full exhaust system by Akrapovic takes the power up to 226 horsepower and results in a nearly unfathomable power-to-weight ratio of about 1,200 horsepower per ton. Let that sink in for a minute. The engine settles into a gruff and mechanical-sounding idle with a fair amount of clatter, which is quite like the V-twin. But the sound quickly transitions into a mean and angry bark at high revs, which is rather reminiscent of the Ducati MotoGP bike. The Panigale goes just as fast as it sounds, pulling incredibly hard from 8,000 RPM all the way to the 14,500 RPM redline. It's a struggle just to hold on to the bike under full acceleration, and it was pulling strongly even at 285 km an hour, which was the fastest I dared to go before hauling on the brakes for turn 1. But the power delivery is quite linear and predictable, with a smooth throttle response that encourages the rider to roll on the gas when leaned all the way over in a corner. 214 horsepower means this bike is just as violently fast as you might imagine. But the beauty of it all is how this front frame chassis and the segment-leading electronics make it a manageable package for mere mortals like us. Speaking of the chassis, this is in fact the first time in a while that Ducati has used the word frame for its top superbike. As a traditional beam frame was working out to be too heavy, Ducati found a solution in what they call a front frame concept. Now this is essentially a smaller frame that mounts to the front of the V4 engine, while the rear bank of cylinders is attached to the swing arm and rear subframe. Near obsessive levels of attention have been paid to keeping the weight as low as possible. The shell-cast aluminium front frame, for example, weighs just 4 kilograms, while the aluminium rear subframe is under 2 kilos. Magnesium has been used for the front subframe, which holds the headlamps, and this weighs less than a kilo. Even the full LED headlamp system weighs just 1.5 kilograms. So what does all this translate to in terms of what the new V4 feels like to ride? The new Panigale has the most natural feeling handling I've experienced on a modern Ducati sports bike to date. Turn-in is quick, and the front end conveys more agility and rider feedback than even the smaller 959 Panigale. That counter-rotating crankshaft is certainly helping in this regard. In the middle of the corner, the bike feels supremely planted, and the new Pirelli Super Corsas with a taller 60 profile at the rear provide immense grip. The Öhlins semi-active, electronically controlled suspension feels surprisingly natural and offers a deep level of tuning ability for the rider. Then there's the new Brembo Stylema brakes, which are simply the finest I've ever used. Braking performance is immensely powerful, with good feel and progression at the lever, and we saw no signs of fade throughout a day of very hard riding. At this point, I'm not sure if the Panigale is among the easiest of the current liter bike crop, but it certainly feels like one of the fastest and most advanced. There's way too much to individually list out here, but to sum up, the Panigale V4 features an evolved electronics package from the previous 1299 Panigale, and it now offers even smoother and more intuitive intervention. There are quite a few additions here as well, and the highlights include a new slide-by brake feature that allows the rider to use a rear brake to put the bike into a controlled drift while entering the corner. Slide control, meanwhile, allows carefully managed slides when the bike is leaned over and the rider gets hard on the gas during corner exit. Anti-wheelie also does a good job of restraining the front wheel, which is otherwise all too eager to lift under hard acceleration, all the way up to 4th gear and well over 220 km per hour. That the new V4 is an incredible motorcycle is without doubt. But the happiest part of this story is that this motorcycle is coming from Thailand, and that means it's going to be a lot more affordable than the old 1299 Panigale, which came from Italy. And Ducati has done just that, with knockout pricing for the new bike that puts it at nearly half of what the previous one cost. The base V4 seems like a particularly good deal, considering that it gets all the power and technology from the S, apart from the electronic suspension, forged wheels and lithium-ion battery. However, only 20 bikes are coming to India this year, and deliveries will start in July. Personally, we just can't wait to see if the V4 can impress just as much on home soil.
कभी न रुकने वाले जुनून को रफ्तार देता है सर्वो वर्ल्ड क्लास लुब्रिकेंट्स।